attentive young crowd today, it seems. So, who is monitoring you? It looks like someone has been guiding you very nicely in your spiritual life. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadatam sankirtanaika pitaro kamalayataksho Vishambharo dijavaro jugadharma palo Bande jagat priyakaro karunavataro. This is the prayer Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur offered at the beginning of Chaitanya Bhagavat. These two personalities, Dijo Varo, the two best of the Brahmanas. Who are those two best of the Brahmanas? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Vishambharo, they are the maintainer of the universe. They are maintainer of this entire creation. In this way, he is pointing out that these two personalities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, are none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishambharo Dijavaro Jugadharma Palo. They are the maintainers of the Jugadharma. And the Jugadharma of this age is Sankirtan. Vishambharo Dijavaro Jugadharma Palo Bande Jagat Priyakaro. They create the auspiciousness and opulence and all the benefits, all the goodness, everything that is auspicious, beneficial, and opulent is created by these two personalities. Sankirtanaika Pitaro. They are the two fathers of Sankirtan Yajna. Sankirtan Yajna has been recognized as a personality, and the father of the Sankirtan is two fathers. Sankirtanaika Pitaro. Sanskrit words have three persons. First person, not person, number actually. One, two, and many. In English it is singular and plural. But in Sanskrit it is singular, dual, and plural. So this you can see there, it has been coming in as a Pitaro, Jugadharma Palo, Dijavaro. So these are indicating two personalities. Sankirtanaika Pitaro. And they are the Karunavataro, the most munificent incarnation of the Lord. Isn't Sanskrit a beautiful language? It's to begin with, it is always sung. It is sung. And there are various meters, and they follow those meters. Like, for example, there is one meter called Anushtup Chanda. Chanda is the meter. Gayatri. Chanda. It's a Gayatri is actually a Chanda meter. In this Payar, there are many such meters in poetry, in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, at the beginning of the chapter, the summary of the chapter or the topic that is being discussed in the chapter is generally presented. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching has been described in the 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. The 19th chapter. And it begins with a very beautiful Sanskrit verse. Vrindavaniyam rashakeli bhartam kalena luptam nijashakti mukta shancharja rupe vyatanod punah sa prabhur vidho praga iva loko shrishti. The translation has been presented by Srila Prabhupada as, before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. Do you all remember what happened at the beginning of creation? Even Lord Brahma, although he came directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was in ignorance. This shows that in the material nature, everyone is born in ignorance. Janmana jayate Shudra. By birth, everyone is a Shudra. Shudra means in ignorance. By birth, everyone is in ignorance. Even Lord Brahma was in ignorance. But the Lord imparted the knowledge unto Brahma. How did he do that? How did he impart the knowledge? Tene Brahma Rida Adikavaye Muihanti Jatsuraya. He imparted this knowledge in the heart of Brahma. Divagyan Ridhe Prakashita. The transcendental knowledge is revealed in the heart. Actually, this is the way to receive transcendental knowledge. And it has been pointed out time and time again in scriptures that it happens by the mercy of the spiritual master. In that respect, there is a very beautiful anecdote in Mahabharata. The Dhaumya Rishi. Dhaumya was the family priest of the Pandavas. So Dhaumya had his students, and one day he told one of his disciples, Upamanyu, he got the news that the flood water is entering into the paddy field. The flood water is entering the paddy field. So he said, go and protect the field. So the day went by, and in the evening, at night, when everyone saw that Upamanyu didn't come back. So Guru asked, what happened to Upamanyu? How come he is not here? Then he said, they said that, well, in the morning you sent him to the paddy field, and he didn't come back since then. So although it was night, Guru went to the field. It was dark, so he could find him there. So he called out, Upamanyu, where are you? Where are you? Then Upamanyu called out that, Gurudev, I am lying in the field. What actually happened, the aisle, the wall that is meant to protect the water from the paddy field, like it broke. And that's how the flood water was entering there. So he broke, and there was no way he could prevent it because the water was rushing with such force. So he laid down there with his own body, he was actually protecting the flood. And the whole day he did that, even at night he was that way. So Guru was so pleased that Guru, when he came, he offered obeisance. He said, come over, you don't have to worry about that. So when he fell at his feet, then Guru blessed him. Let all 4 Vedas and all the Shastras become revealed in your heart. And that's what happened. Just by the blessings of a spiritual master, all the 4 Vedas and all the Vedic scriptures became manifest in his heart. Of course, in that respect, the Guru has to be that qualified and the disciple also have to be that qualified. So, the qualification of a Guru is that he has the knowledge himself by the mercy of his Guru, and the disciple's qualification is that he is that submissive to the spiritual master. So here we are just coming to that point. Kalena luptam nija shakti mukta. At the beginning of creation, the Lord imparted the knowledge to Brahma. So just as at the time of creation, before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. Exactly in the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. Vrindavaniyam Rasakeli Bhartam. The Rasakeli Bhartams of Vrindavan. The pastimes of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So you got the essence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to Rupa Goswami. What he did, he actually revealed Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. So Rupa Goswami is considered to be the Rasacharya, the Acharya of the Rasas, transcendental mellows. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him and assigned him to execute that mission. Yesterday we discussed how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so, after they met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 2 brothers went home and started to discuss what to do. No more mundane activities. Quit this worldly affairs. So see how exalted these 2 personalities were. 2 most important ministers of Bengal, the king. In those days, you can't imagine how opulent Bengal used to be. It's extremely opulent, naturally. Jayati te dhikang janmana braja. Gopis are singing, Krishna, ever since you have taken birth in Braja, Vrindavan, Shayata Indira Shashvatatrahi. Lakshmi Devi is always residing here. Similarly, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Lakshmi Devi also appeared. So the whole place was extremely opulent. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance created the good fortune. And although the Muslims are dominating, but the place was extremely opulent. So was Orissa. Today, Orissa is seen as kind of impoverished state. But Orissa was an extremely opulent place due to the presence of Lord Jagannath. So as the places are losing their spiritual significance, the opulence is disappearing from those places. Today's Bengal is in a real shocking state. Anyway, let's not get into that. So two brothers came home and they started to discuss, what do we do? And both of them decided, no more service to the king. And Rupa Goswami acted immediately. He submitted his resignation, collected all the wealth that he accumulated, took it to their ancestral home, and as I told you yesterday, they carried the gold. Those days, things were not in currency. Wealth was kept in gold. And when there is too much gold, then silver coins was not of any importance. And well, the wealth of that dimension, and silver coins were not into. Like there used to be copper coins, silver coins, gold coins. Even in recent past, we saw that. Like I remember, the smallest coin used to be 1 paisa. And that was a copper coin with a hole in the middle. Like it looked like something like a washer. So, and then it goes into other, then there was alloys, coins, then 24 paisa, 25 paisa. No, actually those days it was annas, like 16 annas used to make 1 rupee, and 4 paisa used to make 1 anna. I think these all were before you were born. So, so paisa, anna, then 25 paisa was a silver coin. Small though, but it was silver. And this way, rupee was a big silver coin. And then there was gold coins. The gold coins used to be called as guineas. They were 1 ounce. I think 1 ounce to 1 guinea. 1 gold coin. And I remember, what was the price? And the way I remembered that, because one of my cousins was getting married, and the ornaments, the gold ornaments had to be made, like the goldsmith was given the guineas, and I remember each guinea was costing 70 rupees. 1 gold coin was 70 rupees only. And you know how things were. Like a kilo of ghee was 20 2 rupees 50 paisa, 2.5 rupees, arai taka. 1 kilo of ghee was 2.5 rupees, and a liter of milk, there was no liter, it was share. Share. And 1 share of milk was between 3 annas to 4 annas. So this is how wonderful things used to be. And so real. You see, like Prabhupada often used to say that. The paper currency is cheating. And then it began even bigger cheating. Credit card. And even bigger cheating, credit. And so all cheating is going on. Anyway, and let's not get into, although it's good to know, good to discuss. I mean, we can see how the world has degraded, and when it comes to reviving the proper human culture, we have to be aware of these things and see what has to be properly established. Prabhupada wanted in Mayapur to have our own currency, own coins. When people would come, and I think eventually we have to do that. When people would come to Mayapur, they have to trade and buy our own currency, and every dealing has to be done with our own currency, which is coins. When there will be a time when already thousands of people are coming to Mayapur, so thousands is not a big number now. When hundreds of thousands of people will be coming to Mayapur every day, then yes, we have to do things like that. So Rupa Goswami, what did he do? He divided his wealth. You remember how he divided it? Did you get an idea how to do that? Not now, but when you retire. 50% to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, meaning 50% to ISKCON. Do you need to write it down? And 25% to your family members. And other 25% for the safekeeping, just in case if there's an emergency. That reminds me, I just joined the movement. I was quite a new devotee. And Srila Prabhupada was in Mayapur. One very wealthy man came from Calcutta. So I very excitedly told Srila Prabhupada that Prabhupada, this person has come and joined. Prabhupada said, oh, I see. Prabhupada was not that excited. Then I think the next day or the day after, I kept on telling that how sincere this person is, and like he is really a good devotee. Then Prabhupada asked, when I was telling that to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, how much money did he bring? Did he give the money to ISKCON? I said, no, I don't think she did. Then Prabhupada said, then he won't last. He said he won't last. And then, after a few days, his wife came and he went back home. Prabhupada says, all show. Really, he had a tiff with his wife, and he just came, pretended as if he's going to become a sadhu, but he was not. The seriousness is when you come to Krishna consciousness, the first thing you do, you give your money. Not keep your money for your family and then join the movement, as if now the ISKCON movement has to maintain you. All your money is given to your family and all your responsibility goes to ISKCON. No, that shouldn't be. should be the other way around. I know you all are very serious, so you're already doing that. So there is no concept, no, and that's why I can tell you so frankly. If I had any doubt, then probably I would have hesitated to tell you that. Then I knew that I would have become very unpopular. So then Rupa Goswami sent two men, two Brahmanas, to Jagannath Puri and told them that find out when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will leave for Vrindavan, and when he does, immediately come back and inform me. You remember what happened before? Are you all reading Chaitanya Charitamrita? Silent. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan. He traveled through South India. Now he came back to Jagannath Puri. Now he wanted to go to North India, to Vrindavan. And on the way to Vrindavan, he stopped at Ramkeli village, where he met Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. And then he was going to Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami actually told him that, do you really want to go to Vrindavan with hundreds of thousands of people following you? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that suggestion of Sanatana Goswami seriously. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went up to a place called Kanai Natshala. It's on the border of Bengal and Bihar. You go to North Bengal and then you turn to west and then you come to the border of Bihar. And there is this beautiful place actually on the bank of the Ganges. That place ISKCON got now. That place is now under our. So he went up to Kanai Natshala and then he decided not to go to Vrindavan. He felt that Sanatana Goswami's instruction was quite valid. So he decided not to go to Vrindavan with so many people. So he went back to Jagannath Puri. So that's why, and he decided that he would go without informing anybody. So Rupa Goswami knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will eventually plan to go to Vrindavan. So when he would do that, when he would decide to leave for Vrindavan, then he would leave and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's why he sent these two Brahmanas. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan, you remember again how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Vrindavan? He took only one person with him. He didn't want to take anybody with him. Nityananda Prabhu insisted. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's point was that if I take somebody and then other devotees will feel bad. Because in my eyes everyone is equal, so if I take someone, others will feel bad. So Nityananda Prabhu suggested that this Brahmana is a newcomer, is a new devotee. And he is very good in his behavior, he's very advanced. His name is Balabhadra Bhattacharya. So he said, you take Balabhadra Bhattacharya with you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go through the forest of Jharkhand. And you know what happened then. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes.
No. Good. Yeah. Do you want me to say?
Yes.
Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was going to Vrindavan through the forest of Jharkhand, naturally a forest full of wild animals. And while he was walking, Balabhadra Bhattacharya actually described all that, what happened. Everybody was amazed. While Mahaprabhu was going in semi-darkness, he stepped onto a tiger. And the tiger, instead of attacking him or anything, he just shook his body, got up, and started to chant, Hare Krishna. Mahaprabhu is chanting, the tiger is chanting. Mahaprabhu went to the river to take bath. And at that time, the hordes of elephants came there to play. And you see, like when the hordes of elephants come like that, they become very, very aggressive at times. Because they consider anyone else as a disturbance. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just sprinkled some water on them and chant Hare Krishna. They started to chant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to walk, and he was chanting. The elephants and tigers and all the animals, they also started to follow him, chanting and dancing. How is it possible? How is it possible? Because this chanting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was awakening their spirit souls from their slumber, or the covering of the material nature was removed. The pure spirit souls were responding to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chanting. So that's how we can see the awakening of this pure spiritual in consciousness is not a matter of the body. A pure devotee can actually make even the animals become Krishna conscious through their spiritual potency. So what to speak of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anyway, in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan. And so the Brahmanas came immediately back to Ramkeli and told Rupa Goswami that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Vrindavan. So then Rupa Goswami also left. And they met in Prayag. Prayag is the present-day Allahabad. 3 rivers are meeting there. Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So that is considered to be the king of all the places of pilgrimage. Prayag Raj. Raj means king. Prayag is the king of all the places of pilgrimage. Krishna actually made Prayag as the king this way. So Prayag became the king, and all the other rivers became subservient to Prayag. All the places of pilgrimage became subservient. Only Vrindavan didn't. So Prayag went and complained to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna told him, don't worry about Vrindavan. It's of a different dimension altogether. He is not under your jurisdiction, because Vrindavan is not of this material nature. So this is another important thing that we understand. That all these places of pilgrimage are somewhat situated in the material nature, whereas Vrindavan is beyond this material nature. Vrindavan is spiritual world. So Rupa Goswami left with his brother Anupam, and at that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also arrived in Prayag. And hundreds of thousands of people were following him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they actually came across Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu was going to Bindu Madhav. That is, in Bindu Madhav, in Prayag, the Lord is present as Bindu Madhav. And hundreds of thousands of people are following him. So Rupa Goswami and Anupam saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from a distance, offered obeisance, didn't approach him there. Then later on, he met them in the house where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying, in the house of a Brahmana. And they met him there. And that's another very beautiful incident. At that time, Ballavacharya also met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Ballavacharya was a very exalted spiritual leader of that time. He was he was patronized by some kings. So he was very, very well known, very opulent. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had some funny exchanges with him at times. Ballavacharya sometimes was very proud of his knowledge. So he wrote a commentary. And he wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. And he mentioned that his commentary is better than Sridhar Swami's commentary. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu responded by saying that one who does not accept his Swami or husband, when a wife doesn't accept her husband, she is a prostitute. So Sridhar Swami, so in this way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that Swami is, Sridhar Swami is the one who gave the preliminary commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. To disregard him like that was... And in this way there were some such funny exchanges, humorous exchanges Mahaprabhu used to have. And that unfortunately created some sort of, although initially Ballavacharya and his sons were very much supportive of Gauria Vaishnavas, but later on their relationship got strained. When Chaitanya Charitamrita came out and all these incidences became known, they didn't want to have anything with Chaitanya, Gauria Vaishnava. They started to call Ballavacharya as Mahaprabhu. And they didn't want to accept any link, any connection with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that's the unfortunate thing, because like in Gaur Ganadhar's Deepika, different personalities, identity has been revealed. And Ballavacharya is considered to be an incarnation of Sukadeva Goswami. So it's not that in Gauria Vaishnava Sampradaya, Ballavacharya's identity was minimized by any chance. But unfortunately they couldn't understand that. And now we can go back. Who is Sukadeva Goswami? The parrot of Krishna. We see in Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, Krishna used to have rather some humorous exchanges with the parrot. There are two parrots, Shuka and Shari. Shuka is the male parrot and Shari is the female parrot. And the Shuka is Krishna's parrot and Sari is Radharani's parrot. And there would be some sort of loving exchange like that. There was some descriptions. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going and this parrot was saying, Radhe Radhe. No, Krishna, Krishna. No, Radhe Radhe. So this is how this, and that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his affectionate, loving exchange with Ballavacharya. Another thing that people, these Ballava Sampradaya do not know, is that Ballavacharya was actually included in the Gauria Vaishnava Sampradaya. He was initiated by Gadadhar Pandit. So anyway, Ballavacharya met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in this way they had some beautiful exchange. Rupa Goswami also was present at that time. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to describe Rupa Goswami, started to instruct Rupa Goswami. In Prayag there is one ghat on the river bank. There is stairs that people go into the river. So they call ghat. So there is one ghat called Dashashwamedh Ghat. A ghat where 10 horse sacrifice took place. Dash means 10, Ashwamedh means Ashwamedh sacrifice, horse sacrifice. 10 horse sacrifices took place, therefore this place is known as Dashashwamedh Ghat. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat with Rupa Goswami in that ghat. And for 10 days he instructed Rupa Goswami. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him there that it was not possible to describe the devotional service completely. It's so vast, so deep, so profound that it's impossible to describe devotional service to Krishna. But I'm just giving you a drop to taste. So what he gave for 7 days, he considered it to be just a drop to get the taste of devotional service in the form of the synopsis. He mentioned Parapar Shunno Gobhir Bhakti Rasa Sindhu Tomai Chakite Tar Kohi Ekabir. Parapar Shunno, the ocean, it's an ocean that doesn't have any limit, doesn't have any bank, endless. This ocean of devotional service is an endless ocean, without any limit, without any bank. To you, I'm just giving a taste of bindu. Bindu means a drop of that ocean. Therefore, we have to become so humble actually when we approach this topic. We should never think that we understood everything. It's just we're getting a glimpse of that or a touch of that. And he started to describe that there are 8,400,000 species of life. 8,400,000 species. And within the universe, and there are two types, moving and non-moving living entities. Even not only the trees and plants, even the stones are living entities. What to speak of mountains? Like we know Himalaya is a personality. Himalaya's daughter is Parvati. Parvati was married to Lord Shiva. Personalities. We may not see them. The mountains are just the external manifestation of their potency. But beyond that is a personality. And so, even the stones, according to Mahaprabhu's description, living entities, but they're non-moving living entities. So here we can see, like that reminds me, when one day I was, a long time ago actually, in South Africa, in Johannesburg, I was one grandfather of one of our disciples, who was a High Court judge, came to see me. And we were discussing, and when I made the point that the animals have soul, he couldn't accept that. He said, no, animals don't have soul. I just pointed out, what to speak of animals? The trees and plants have soul. And it took me about half an hour to make him understand. The point is that they don't understand what soul is. And because no one actually gave them the right impressions. Rather, they go along with what their scriptures have said, or their understanding is. Only human beings have soul. That's what the Christian concept is. Only human beings have soul. You know what's a Muslim concept? Only male have soul, female don't have soul. But I just pointed out that that life is due to the presence of the soul. Is a tree alive? Is an animal alive? So he had to accept, yes, an animal is living. Because you can see that the animal dies. I asked trees, insects, do they live? Are they living? And I said that the living symptom is due to the presence of the soul. And finally he accepted it. But, of course he's an intelligent person. So here we are, 8,400,000 species of life, living entities. Moving, non-moving. And then it comes to human beings. Their number is actually very few, 400,000. And out of that, many are uncivilized. Uncivilized. Who are uncivilized? Those who do not accept the Vedic literatures, Vedic scriptures, those who are not exposed to Vedic scriptures, they are uncivilized. Those who accept the Vedic scriptures but just give a lip service or verbally accept that they live the Vedic scriptures, they accept Vedic scriptures but they do not practice the process with earnest intention, they are considered to be half civilized. And those who accept the Vedic scriptures properly, they are civilized. So we are finding the human category, and in that light we can see the state of today's world. I mean, it's a world of uncivilized individuals. Only ISKCON is creating some civilization in this world by presenting the Vedic scriptures. Otherwise, it's just an uncivilized world. And then he pointed out that there are the karmis, those who are into sense gratification, those who live for the sake of their sense gratification, they are called karmis. Those who are into enjoying this material nature, they are karmis. In thousands of such karmis, it is difficult to find one jnani. Jnani, one who is situated in knowledge. And out of thousands of such jnanis, it is rare to find one devotee of Krishna. So that shows how rare it is to become a devotee of Krishna. So can you imagine what kind of good fortune Srila Prabhupada has created for us? If it was a matter of achieving it by dint of our own endeavor, we could have possibly find it or get it. We are not even karmis properly. Actually, if we consider ourselves, we are a bunch of animals, isn't it? So what to speak of, becoming jnanis and recognize the importance of liberation. And then even out of such individuals who are aspiring for liberations or achieve liberation, it's difficult to find a devotee among them. Koti gaini moddhe hoy ek jon mukto, koti mukto moddhe durlabh ek Krishna bhakta. Out of millions, koti means 10 millions. Out of 10 million jnanis, it's difficult to find one liberated one who has achieved liberation. And out of tens of millions of such liberated ones, it's difficult to find one devotee of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that, right? It's not just some, poetic description. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in us. And then listen what he is saying. What is the qualification of a devotee? Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atoev Shanto. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakali Ashanta. Krishna Bhakta, a devotee of Krishna, doesn't have any desire for enjoyment. Therefore, internally he is completely peaceful. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam. He is devoid of any desire for enjoyment. Therefore, he is internally perfectly peaceful. Whereas, those who are trying to enjoy this material nature, bhukti kami, bhoga, enjoyment, those who are aspiring for liberation, and those who are aspiring for yogic perfection. They all have desires, therefore they are perturbed. Only a devotee is internally peaceful, shanta. Others, no one else can be peaceful in a real sense. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out, the Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Muktilata Bhaj. The living entities are traveling in this universe. They're endlessly, since time immemorial. The living entities are wandering in this material nature. But if by chance he comes across a devotee of Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasade, he gets the seed of devotional service. Bhakti. Bhakti Lata Beach, devotional creeper. Brahmanda Pramiti Kunu, Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach. Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai. First Prabhupada is pointing out, first Guru. It is by the mercy of Guru or by the mercy of a devotee, he actually gets the seed of devotional service. Here, we have to recognize that there are three types of gurus. Bhatma Pradarshak Guru, the one who shows the path, is a guru. Whoever brings us or whoever gives us the first information of Krishna consciousness or devotional service and brings us or inspires us, he is a guru. Bhatma means path, Pradarshak means indicator. The one who indicated us the path of devotional service is a guru. And then Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. And then in the ultimate sense, Bhatma Pradarshak Guru is also Shiksha Guru. So there are two types of gurus, Shiksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus. So then when one gets the seed, what should one do? One must become the gardener to cultivate that seed. And where should that seed be planted? What is the field for that seed? The heart. Now, if the soil is full of rocks and gravels, will the seed fructify? So first of all, we have to prepare the field, the soil. That means we have to make our hearts tender in such a way that the seed of devotion will germinate there. So then, what does the gardener do? An expert gardener then takes care of that by watering it properly. Because if the watering is not done properly, then the seed will wither. The seedling will wither. So therefore, the gardener will properly cultivate the seedling by watering it properly. And then the seed will begin to grow. The seedling will begin to grow. And in this way, this devotional creeper, Bhakti Lata, will grow and grow and grow. It will penetrate through the viraja. Yesterday we spoke about viraja, causal ocean. It will go beyond causal ocean. It will reach the spiritual world, Brahma Jyoti. Then, rising further, Vaikuntha. Going further, it will come to Vrindavan, Mathura. And finally, it will come to Vrindavan and get the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So now, the growth of that creeper is complete. Because if the creeper doesn't have the shelter, then the creeper will not be able to grow. That is the nature of a creeper. The creeper must have a shelter to hold on to. But then, while the Bhakti Lata is growing, there are few impediments to the growth. One impediment is that when you are cultivating the creeper of devotional service, then there is a possibility of the weeds also to grow. How many of you have done gardening here? Have you seen that in a way the weeds actually grow faster? Weeds grow faster. And it'll stifle and kill them. Therefore, the weeds have to be taken out. Now, how many of you have done cultivated paddy, rice paddy? Okay. So, Bhagavata Shri Prabhu is expert in every respect. Okay. One unique nature of rice paddy is that if you keep the field submerged in water, then the paddy will grow, the weeds cannot grow. Therefore, the way to cultivate rice paddy is that always keep it, especially when the seedlings are in a premature, immature state, just keep the field covered with water. Then the nature of rice paddy is that as water is it will always go above the water level. It will grow out of the water level. Whereas the weeds cannot grow. Now what is the water here? Hearing and chanting. So if you are constantly hearing and chanting, then there is no more possibility of the weeds to grow. Shravan, Kirtan, Jale, Kaurave, Sinchan. The water keep on covering the field of this devotional creeper with constant chanting, a constant watering of hearing and chanting. Then there is another dangerous situation for the creeper to grow. And it is like you have a beautiful forest, beautiful garden, but if there is an elephant, if an elephant enters into the garden, then what will happen? Elephant destroys the garden completely. So what is the mad elephant here? The mad elephant is the Vaishnava aparad. If that elephant or Vaishnava aparad enters into that field, then Bhakti Lata will be completely shattered and destroyed. So what should the gardener do in that respect? The gardener must create a nice fence, nice and strong fence all around the garden, so that the mad elephants cannot enter there. Right? Protect your devotional creeper from committing Vaishnava aparad. That's a good gardener will always do. And then also there are some other obstacles or hindrances. The nishiddhachar, indulging in activities that are not proper, inappropriate activities. For us, what are those nishiddhachar in simple words? To break the regulative principles. Never ever break the regulative principles. Kutinati, criticizing. This is one very, very dangerous yet very interesting involvement. We love to speak bad about others. This is another typical materialistic tendency. In the material nature, we want to be the greatest, right? And the easiest way of becoming the greatest is by making everyone go down. Push everyone down and stand high up. So that's another. On the other hand, what we have to do? Trinadopi sunichena. This verse is actually very, very important. The third verse of Shikshashtaka. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that make a locket out of this verse and wear it in your neck. That becoming more humble than a blade of grass, becoming as tolerant as a tree, desiring no respect for ourselves, we should offer all respect to others. Then only we'll be able to chant the holy name constantly. Kirtanya Sadahari. How can we chant the holy name constantly? How can we be totally absorbed in Krishna consciousness? How can we always feel the presence of Krishna? Only when we develop this attitude. Or we can develop this attitude only when we become completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Trinadopi shunichena taroriva shahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sada. Jiva himsan, another one, is violence to other living entities. And Prabhupada is elaborately mentioning that there are two types of jiva himsa. One is physical and the other is spiritual. The physical one is when you inflict pain on other living entities, killing animals and so forth. And the other is to the soul. Hindering a soul's spiritual progress is jiva himsa, violence to a living entity. So we must not try to, we should be very careful that we are not trying to hinder other spiritual progress, rather assist them in their spiritual progress. Then labha, puja, pratishtha, distinction, adoration and profit. Desire for distinction, adoration and profit. Profit, making profit. Adoration from others, puja. And pratishtha, establishing ourselves in an exalted position. And Prabhupada pointed out that these three are actually subtle sex desire. Subtle sex desire. One may be free from gross sex desire, but if one has this tendency of distinction, adoration and profit, then he is actually cultivating the subtle sex desire, which will eventually make him fall down in gross sex desire. And here we have to understand the way for spiritual progress is to conquer sex desire. Unless and until we conquer sex desire, we cannot possibly enter into the spiritual world. And one may be able to give up the gross sex desire, but the subtle sex desire remains. It's only a matter of time. So we should be very, very careful that we are not interested in any of this materialistic materialistic desires and interest in them. Again, we go back to the same point. Trinadopi shunichena taroriva shaishna amanena manadena kirtanena sada. So anyway, when this devotional kripa grows and in the spiritual sky, in Vrindavan, gets the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, then the devotional kripa is safely situated. Then what happens? It flowers and its fruits come out. The flowers is bhava and the fruits are prema. It's only a matter of time when the flowers will develop into fruits. And that fruit, Krishna Prem, is the ultimate goal of life. And that is the fruit. And what is the symptom of pure devotion? Completely free from all material desires. Anna vilashita sunnam jnana karmad anapritam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. Bhaktiruttama, the pure devotion, uttam bhakti is devotion that is free from any desire for karma and jnana. Jnana karmad anabritam. Abrita or avara means covering. So jnana and karma are the coverings of pure devotion. So when that coverings are removed, then the pure devotion shines forth. Shines forth. And that is no other desire besides serving Krishna. Anna vilashita shunnam. Jnana karma anapritam. Anukullena krishnanushilanam. Bhakti gutta. And from this pure devotion comes Krishna. This pure devotion is the foundation of prema. Another symptom of pure devotion has been described, that it is free from even desire for liberation. Liberation again there are 5 kinds of liberation. One kind of liberation is negative and others are positive. Shajujya Mukti, merging in Brahmajyoti, is a negative liberation. But Sarupva, Samipva, Shalakya and Shashti, these are the 4 positive liberation. Okay, what's the difference between negative liberation and positive liberation? A prisoner wants to get out of the prison, naturally. And he digs a tunnel out of the prison. He gets out of the prison. But is he really free? No. The police is after him. He has to constantly hide. At least when he was in the prison, he had some place to sleep and food to eat regularly. Now he's hiding. He doesn't know even where is he going to get some food to eat. Is that real liberation? From freedom from the imprisonment? No. The other one is surrendering to the king. Appealing to the king, I'm sorry, I've made a mistake, I broke your law, and I promise I'll never ever do that. Then the king may free him. Or not may, but will free him. And there the king may give him, or here who is the king? King of kings is Krishna. Prison house is this material nature. Trying to get out of this material bondage by merging in Brahma Jyoti is the negative liberation. And the positive liberations are, the king or Krishna gives us 4 opportunities. Okay? You can come and stay in my palace. You can have the same form like mine. You can be close to me. Or you can have the same opulence as mine. So these are the 4 kinds of positive liberation. Shalakya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Shashti. But a pure devotee, Diyamanam na gridhanti bina matsevanam jana. Even the Lord offers him these liberations. He doesn't want to take them unless and until there is an opportunity to serve. So, what is being indicated? A devotee is simply concerned about the service. He doesn't care about liberation. If the liberation is there without the service, devotee says, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to take it. So that is pure devotion service. Diyamana navrindanti vina mat sevanam jana. So, then the gradual development has been described, how it becomes more and more intensified, the devotion. Sneha. Sneha means affection. One develops sneha. Then that becomes even more intense. When that loving relationship becomes more intense, then he develops an attitude of possessiveness. And in that feeling of possessiveness, there is sometimes even some anger. And then that becomes even more intensified into love. The love becomes pranay becomes more intensified in rag. It becomes even more intensified in anurag. These are different stages of intensity of love for Krishna. Rag, anurag, then bhav, and finally mahabhav. So these are the gradual developments of loving relationship. And there are five direct mellows or principal mellows. Like these are Shantya, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Neutrality, servitorship, parental, neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental, and conjugal. So, one is superior to the other. The preceding one is superior to the preceding one. But, although there is such distinctions made, but whatever one's actual mellow is, he considered that to be the highest. It is not that a person in Dasyaras, servitorship, is thinking that, why am I in Dasyaras? I should actually be in Sakharas. No. It is like those who are situated in Dasyaras, because these rasas are inherent in him, and he finds that this is his relationship with Krishna. And he thinks that is the highest. So individually, in whichever mellow one is situated, he considers that to be the highest. Like for example, those who are servants of Krishna, they're thinking, that's the ultimate. Those who are friends of Krishna, they're thinking, that is the ultimate. All I want is to be a friend of Krishna. I want to do this and nothing else. Similarly, those who are in parental relationship, they're thinking that is the highest, that is the ultimate. You see the thing? Like these are their constant relationship, their eternal relationship. They can't think of anything else. Do you think Mother Jashoda will think, well, I'm his father, mother, why don't I become a gopi and dance with Krishna? No, she'll never think of doing that. She'll never think that the Madhur Ras is superior to my relationship that I have with Krishna. Similarly, the cowherd boys are not thinking, well, I wish I could become Krishna's father. No, the friends are friends. Parents are parents. And the lovers are lovers. That's it. They're perfectly situated in that. Therefore, these mellows are called sthayi, constant, permanent. These mellows, these 5 mellows are constant, permanent. They don't change. Those who are situated in Shantaraj, they're perfectly situated there, and so forth. Dasya, Sankharas, and so forth. And there are 7 secondary mellows. They're known as Hashya, Adbhut, Veer, Rodra, Vibhatsa, Bhayanak, and Karuna. Hashya, laughter. Adbhut, wonder. Veera, chivalry. Karun, compassion. Rodra, anger. Bhayanak, fear. And Vibhatsa, disastrous. So these are the second. They are called Sanchari. These mellows will change. And these 7 mellows enhance the loving relationship. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami, and then finally he is actually saying that this Madhur Ras, which is the highest, there are 2 types. One is out of awe and reverence, and the other is out of spontaneous love. And love is actually hindered by the feeling of awe and reverence. When there is awe and reverence, love cannot develop properly. So all these mellows in Vrindavan, actually in awe and reverence, it is actually dasya. Like Lakshmi Devi, although she is in Madhur relationship, conjugal relationship with Krishna, but her mood is in servitorship. So the point is, awe and reverence leads to, or rather hinders the development of intimate loving relationships that are there in friendship, parental and conjugal. Therefore in Vrindavan there is no awe and reverence. It's just love. Awe and reverence has been kept aside. Or no room for awe and reverence. They don't have any awe and reverence for Krishna. Krishna, even though somebody told that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so what? You may be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what really matters is you're my friend. That's what matters. And they joke. Madhu Mangal says, Krishna, see, I'm a Brahmin. And some say you are a Kshatriya, some even say that you are a Vaishnava. But you are a Vaishnava. Some say you are a Kshatriya. Even then, after all, I am a Brahmin. You should have some respect for me. Then Krishna would say, look, the birth is not so important. The real thing is activity. The real greatness of a person lies in his activities. Birth is not, janma is not so important. Karma is the real important. So, you may be a Brahmana, but you should judge me according to my karma, my activities. So, here, Madhu Mangal would say, what's so great about your activity? Oh, don't you know that when I was 7 days old, I killed Putana? When I was 7 years old, I lifted Govardhan. Now what to speak of subduing Kaliya that poisoned the whole of Jamuna? Madhu Mangal says, look, Krishna, there should be a limit to conceitedness. You're always blowing your own trumpet. You're claiming that you killed Putana. Everybody knows that children and old people are protected by demigods. What could you have done? The demigods came and killed Putana and you want to take the credit. Everyone saw that it is all that Brajvasis lifted the Govardhan. They're supporting that, and you say that you lifted it. And you want to claim the credit of subduing Kaliya. Everybody saw your situation. You were dead in Kaliya's coil. And when the news reached Vrindavan, everyone came and they became mad. Some were going to jump into the water to rescue you, some even fainted. And so at that time I took pity upon all of them. And I started to chant the Sarpa Nidhan mantra. That mantra that would kill the serpent. And due to my chanting of the mantra, Kaliya became afraid and let you loose. And you jumped up to his head and started to dance. And Krishna said, oh, I see. Okay, please accept my obeisances. So this is how the residents of Vrindavan treated Krishna. So that's why Vrindavan is the topmost region of the spiritual sky. And that is why the way the gopis dealt with Krishna in their intense loving relationship, and Mother Jashoda tied up Krishna with a rope. Who can ever deal with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that way? So only when one forgets, only when one becomes free from this feeling of awe and reverence, can one treat the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this way. And finally, it's Rupa Goswami pointed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out, that there are different degrees of surrender, actually, in different levels of servitorship, in different levels of devotion. But in conjugal, one offers one's own body to Krishna. No consideration of his own body. The body is offered to Krishna. And that is the real loving relationship in conjugal. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any comment or question?
Could you say a little something about how within Vaidhi Bhakti we're introduced to deity worship, and we are meant to perform deity worship with awe and reverence. But the goal of bhakti is to achieve prayer.
Very good point. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. you're giving us this opportunity to cover one very important aspect. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did deal with that aspect. When, or rather Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami dealt with that, in that when Krishna decided to come as devotee, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to reveal Vrindavan, which is in the mood of conjugal, in the mood of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means just pure love for Krishna. But he considered that Rupa Goswami actually pointed out that Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra Vidhing Bina, Vaikantiki Harer Bhaktir, Utpato Ilokha. That if the devotional service is rendered without the consideration of scriptures like Shruti, Smriti, Puran, etc., that are giving the rules and regulations, if the devotional service is conducted without following the rules and regulations, it will simply create a disturbance. Vaikantika, even though the devotion is intense, earnest and sincere, Vaikantiki Harer Bhakti, Utpatoiva Kalpati. So the point is, Vaidhi Bhakti will lead to Vaikuntha. But it's only through Raganuga Bhakti that one can go to Vrindavan. So here's a catch actually. Vaidhi Bhakti will lead to Vaikuntha and Raganuga Bhakti will take to Vrindavan. Now, the catch is that if devotional service is executed without Vaidhi Bhakti, then it will create a disturbance, as we have seen already in ISKCON. Not ISKCON, but in our involvement in spiritual life. Like, how individuals came and decided, okay, we'll give you Raganuga Bhakti. What did it do? Simply created disturbance and destroyed the lives of so many, spiritual life of so many devotees. So the point here is, Vaidhi Bhakti must be followed. But Vaidhi Bhakti will take to Vaikuntha. And from Vaikuntha one cannot go to Vrindavan. Therefore, the solution that Krishna found in that respect, Vaidhi Bhakti to this devotee Krishna will lead to Raganuga Bhakti to Vrindavan. Vaidhi Bhakti to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipped with Vaidhi Bhakti, and that will be transformed into Raganuga Bhakti to Vrindavan. Okay, how? Raganuga Bhakti means following a Ragatmika Bhaktas. A resident of Vrindavan is a Ragatmika Bhakta. When one executes devotional service following a Ragatmika Bhakta, that becomes Raganuga Bhakti. Right? Now, when we are executing devotional service following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following Vaidhi Bhakti, who are we following? Radharani, the greatest of Ragatmika Bhaktas. And that's how Vaidhi Bhakti to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being transformed into Raganuga Bhakti, which opens up the door to Vrindavan. And what is the Vaidhi Bhakti to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Jaggai Sankirtana Prayoir Jajanti Sumedhasa. Following the rules and regulations of the scriptures, we are actually executing Vaidhi Bhakti of chanting congregationally to worship this particular personality of Godhead is worshipped through Sankirtan. So when he is worshipped through Sankirtan, it is automatically, in course of time, being transformed into Raganaga Bhakti and opens up the gates to Vrindavan. Yes?
That implies the development of taste. And we have in the Shikshastikam, in the second verse.
Yes, you can say that, but the thing that has been described in this respect is just as when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing as Ramananda Roy, at the height of the discussion it goes into that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seen as Radha Krishna. Through our devotion to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, eventually we will be seeing, in place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna. And that will take us to Vrindavan.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
A related question, Maharaj. There seems to be a debate these days as to whether our Swarup is an identity that already exists and that we gave up, or whether it's simply that we're like a blank slate and through the practice of Raganuga sadhana or whatever, that we develop a particular relationship with Krishna.
And don't worry about that. Just leave it up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just serve him in servitorship. That is one has to do. Ultimately, Jivar Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. We are all servants of Krishna. Then ultimately, what Krishna will award us, that's up to him. So, these are just unnecessary waste of time. Like, whether we came from Brahmajyoti or Vaikuntha or... you are rotting here. Recognize that situation. Whether we came from here or there doesn't matter. Consideration is where are you now? And be here now and execute your devotional service from here. So, when it comes to that, just... Prabhupada told us, don't waste your time. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur also pointed out that the cause of our fall down lies in the spiritual context. So unless and until we go there, we'll never be able to find out why and from where we fell. And when you go there, it will automatically become revealed to you. Yes, Bhagavata Shri Prabhu.
In one purport, I can't recall it, I keep trying to remember it. In the 15th chapter of Gita, I think, Prabhupada in the purport says, it's one of those things, only Krishna knows, but he knows in regard to every individual.
Yeah.
And we have to trust that.
Yeah, right.
That it really got to accept that Krishna is omniscient and he knows who I am.
Right, yeah.
Because who I am, in essence, is in relationship with him.
Right, yeah. Thank you. Yes, Satya.
So, Gurumaj, there's also discussion about meditating on these 8 times of day of Krishna, and that seems to also be a bit on the wrong track. Is that sort of nonsense as well?
Do you have enough time to chant 16 rounds?
This is what some devotees maybe in
That's
retirement
the thing,
are
why
doing.
dwell in that?
Yeah.
You see, like when one is in that situation, when one has nothing to do but just completely absorbed in Krishna's pastimes, then he can do that, but those activities are not meant for us who are really struggling to find, as I said, we're struggling to find enough time to chant our 16 rounds.
And I mean, when we look at our acharyas, none of them are sitting around doing that.
Right, exactly.
That's the other thing. The
They
acharyas
did. Bhajananandena Mattaliko, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they did that. But they are there in Vrindavan, you see, they left everything behind. That's the situation they're in.
Thank you.
The Prabhupada said the Bhajananandi and Goshti Anandis. Our business is Goshti Anandis. We are Goshti Anandis. Our business is to congregationally preach Krishna consciousness, promote Krishna consciousness. Bhajan is not meant for us. And we have seen, like those who got into Bhajananandis didn't last for very long.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Yes, Bhagavata Shukra.
A little corollary point of that is that Srila Prabhupada has given us such a perfect process, and the deity worship of the Lord in the temple.
Yeah, right, yeah.
With the 6 artis of the day coincide with the 6 major times of Krishna's day.
Yeah,
He
right,
wakes,
that's true.
he has his breakfast,
Yeah,
he
very
goes
good
out,
point.
he has his lunch, he takes rest, he's woken, then he has his evening meal, and then he goes to bed.
Yeah.
And all of those artis, we're actually being involved. People think, oh, you have to get up early to go to Mangal Arati. Well, that's true, but why is that? It's because Krishna gets up early.
That's right.
He has a life, and that life is encapsulated on a daily basis within the temple.
Yeah. Thank you very much for making this point. Thank you. So, that's our Ashtakaliya Leela.
Yes.
To follow, yeah. Shraddha? Okay. No, it's
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for enlightening class. Guru Maharaj, my question is regarding the Upmanyu and the revelation of all the Vedic scriptures in the heart. So Guru Maharaj, in that context, when we are hearing and chanting the literatures and the Mahamantra, is that going to lead to that revelation gradually, or we can also expect that Krishna can bestow and Guru Maharaj can bestow that mercy to have that revelation?
Well, we have to consider that whatever we got is actually due to the mercy of Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Isn't it like whatever we got, where did you get them from? And in that context, we have to see Srila Prabhupada's special position in his context. And that's why there is so much emphasis, that Prabhupada's position as a founder acharya. This, we are actually in Prabhupada's ashram. And the Guru for all time is Srila Prabhupada. And his teachings are there. So, isn't it revealing within our hearts? Yeah. So, and it will happen more and more. Like, don't you notice, reading Bhagavad Gita, a certain verse, today, and after 6 months I read the same verse, right, and same purport, and it comes with a more enlightening revelation. So these are the revelations. Yes, Shraddha?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This is just a question from yesterday. You had mentioned that Krishna's pastimes are compared to the sun, that simultaneously they're going on in different places. Is that also the same for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes and Srila Prabhupada's pastimes?
Yes, yes. Addapiho nitya lila kare gaura rai, kono kono bhagyabane dekhibare pai. Still now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are going on. Only some fortunate souls can see that. And this Sankirtan is actually continuity of Mahaprabhu's pastime, still going on. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, okay, Pranavasya.
Guru Maharaj, a quick question on what is the significance of Prayag for Gauria Vaishnavas now?
It's an important place, but for example, if it's a matter of settling down, we are not going to settle down in Prayag, either Mayapur or Vrindavan. You see the difference? It is an important place, no doubt about that. But
Krishna Guru Maharaj. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Panchatattvas, how they were identified and how we started the worship of Panchatattva, who established that fact. These are going to be the Panchatattva. This is the way we are going to do the worship and all this. So you can explain that.
How did the Panchatattva worship start? To tell you frankly, of course Panchatattva is there, that Panchatattva has been revealed. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktya Namami Bhakta Shakti. Prabhupada elaborated that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in 5 features. So when their worship started, well, in ISKCON, it started when Prabhupada started it. Rajashekar?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. My question was in context of those 5 rasas, how you mentioned that devotees in parental rasa, they would always serve Krishna in a parental rasa. Reading from Bhagavatam, we see that how Devaki and Vasudeva, they were doing hundreds of years of meditations, and then they took the position of their parents. And also how you mentioned yesterday, Lakshmi didn't get entrance to Krishna Lila, and then she had to go through that as well. And then gradually they kind of came to the point of that rasa. So is it something that is part of the Bhauma Lila, or is it?
The thing is, you see, like underlying, let's go back to the individuals performing austerities to achieve something. So the underlying mood remains the same. But the perfection is coming, by how Krishna is fulfilling that. Performing austerities to get the position of Krishna's mother and father. So they did that, and they get the position as Krishna's father and mother because they desired it. You get it? So the thing is that the inherent mellow is that parental. And they are getting an opportunity to have that perfection by executing that mellow in Krishna's presence.
So does it happen too much all the time as Krishna comes and exhibits?
Well, yes, when Krishna comes, different individuals get an opportunity to be elevated into those pastimes, in Krishna's pastime. Like, when before Krishna came, Krishna told Brahma, Narayan, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, when Brahma went to appeal or to protect the situation of the earth planet. Then he got a reply, well, I'm coming, and let the demigods take birth in Jadu and Vishnu dynasty. So that means the demigods, those who became qualified, they got a chance to take part in Krishna's pastimes. And that is how they achieved their perfection. Yes, Pranavishwa.
Guru Maharaj, you talked about Ballavacharya, and when he met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he was proud of his knowledge. So how do we understand the mode of Ballavacharya, and are they, the Ballabh Sampradaya, committing offenses?
Well, in a way, yes, like, they're, failing to recognize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? If not an offense, it's at least a misfortune. That they're getting into a competitive mode, oh, my guru is, why he has been insulted. So we don't have anything to do with the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of that. See, instead of through the Guru going to Krishna, because of the Guru they're separating themselves from Krishna. But another nice thing about Ballabh Sampradaya, we must say, that they've been quite supportive. Like Sumati Morarji, who is from Vallabh Sampradaya, she arranged for Prabhupada's trip to America. So, I mean, that is, and so in this way, at least we don't have any problem with them. Maybe someday they'll come to their senses.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, just as a segue to that question, you mentioned the mad elephant of aparad and the inappropriate activity of criticizing. Very often as devotees and grahastas, we have to engage in critical thinking, which is according to the postmodern education system, it's a tool to brainstorm ideas and to analyze, etc. But when that critical thinking leads to criticism, then we find that we're in dangerous ground with devotees particularly. Does aparad distinguish itself from criticism, or are they the same thing?
I didn't get that, like, what example?
So, critical thinking, in other words, thinking critically to break things down, to analyze, and that sometimes can lead to criticizing what has been done in the past or what will be done in the future.
Well, we should be careful that it's not done with a feeling of malice. It's better to just, maintain a simple attitude, humble attitude. Yes, Bhagavatasha Prabhu.
Maharaj, you brought to mind a morning walk conversation where
Tamar Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, what is the difference between criticism, fault-finding, and blasphemy? And Srila Prabhupada said, criticism means you are nothing but a fig, and I am saying you are nothing but a fig. Blasphemy, fault-finding is, and then he gives the example of how the fly always goes to the stool. And then he said, blasphemy means you have all good qualities, but still I'm going to defame you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Similar question, Guru Maharaj. Sometimes I've seen definitions of sadhu ninda even to not express joy upon seeing a Vaishnava. So it seems that it's attitude primarily, the degree, like say of malice or whatever, the degree of words spoken seems to almost be not negotiable. We shouldn't take it lightly, but it does seem that the attitude, one can not speak a bad word and yet still be guilty of sadhu ninda in some ways.
So what's the point here?
Just how much of it could be distilled to an attitude rather than just a behavior?
I see. Anyway, thank you. So, thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande.